live. Check. Hey,
Hey,
you guys, I'm here with Jonathan Gerow. If you guys know what S&P is, you know who he is. If you don't, Jonathan, can you just give an intro for people that don't know who you are?
I'm Jonathan Gerow. I've been a SMP provider for 15 years, and SMP is scalp micropigmentation. It's a form of tattooing for the scalp. It helps guys who are bald, men or women who are bald or need more density. I've had it 15 years on my hairline right there. 15 years ago, my mom had cancer, and she was going through a chemotherapy, which was causing her hair loss, and I figured I gotta try to help get her hairline back. I went online, and back in these days, there was no Instagram, no YouTube. I reached out to a guy who was on a hair loss forum. He was out in London, and he was the first one to actually shade a scalp with using ink. Long story short, I partnered with him, brought it to the United States, and became one of the innovators, pioneers of this SMP technique.
That's incredible. Where did you even have the to do that?
You know, hair transplants were a thing back in them days, so there was no like videos of guys talking about hair loss. It was just such a niche market that I fell into it by accident. I wasn't even like looking for it. You know, this is before you could even Google it. There was no trainings, there was no before and after photos online. It was just some guy on the line who was on the forum, and he was talking about what he does, and I said, that sounds like a cool idea. So I wind up collaborating, and then we brought it to the US, and we had about 15 locations in our prime. After 5 years of being with him, I wound up going solo. He went into other businesses, and his company just kind of bankrupted itself. So I went solo and been solo ever since.
Do you think that your values weren't quite in alignment? Like you guys kind of grew in different directions, right? Is that what happened?
In the 15 years, I've had a few different business partners. None of them ever worked out. You know, unfortunately, a lot of them, I do this for the passion, you know, to help other people with hair loss. Some people would just get into it for the money. They look at me as a dollar sign. So my name, the Gerow name, is heavily marketed for the S&P. So a lot of people want to partner with that name. I'm a very nice guy. I'm not business oriented. I'm kind of like the rock star artist of the business, and I don't get into the paperwork and the business forms. And that's the problem. If you're an S&P artist, you definitely want to make sure you get into the business side. Just don't let someone else do it for you.
Now we're getting somewhere. Let's dig into that a little bit. You saw success with S&P, and it kind of came really quickly all of a sudden almost, right?
Yes.
Like within just like 2 or 3 years, it went from experimentation to now you're like the staple. You had to be under a lot of pressure, right?
Most of the pressure was actually towards the end of the partnerships. It's like during, you know, the work stages, I was just in the zone. I'm in the work zone, you know, being an artist, I don't even look at the clock when I'm working. But it was more of like these partners, they're taking it in a direction where they feel they want to put it. And it's always like, you know, this is my vision, but then they're like, this is their vision. So they're always like,
It's like having two chefs in the kitchen.
yeah, I had a Telemundo feature, the first Spanish news channel. They wanted to interview me, and during the days, the partner said, "Oh, that's not a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't do that right now." And I said, "No, I followed my heart." That was like the first time S&P was broadcast on a national level. So when that happened, they were like, oh, wow, that was the greatest thing because they seen the money coming in from that. So I've always learned that I got to trust my heart, trust my gut.
You've been through a lot of seasons that have tested your character. How did you pull yourself out of that?
I'm still pulling myself out of it, but I got a lot of good people around in my life. The clients, you know, they become friends of mine over the years, so I get a lot of support. It's just having the right team around you. That's what it comes to. I'll train someone and they'll be like, yo, I want 33% of your company after a few years. I'm like, I built this, and then you're just an employee coming in wanting an ownership of the company. I'm like, you got to put the work in. You got to really like prove yourself. If I'm not doing right, the company won't.
Do you have like a manager or someone that is kind of like your life coach?
Yeah, I got a guy. He's one of my silent partners, you could say right now. We got a good team behind me. I got James, I got Marco, we got another 5 or 6 guys under James. I still got a big team behind me that helps. Every day is always something going on with the company. So there's so much that goes behind the scenes. And Marco, you know, office manager, he knows. I see what he goes through every day. So it's a lot of work. Having a business, it's not as easy as people think it is. We were the first company to make $1 million in the S&P game, though.
That's awesome. What do you think contributed to your success?
First thing, you know, obviously is being genuine. My main thing is you always got to be genuine with the clients, be honest. Try not to sell them false promises. You gotta be straightforward with your client. Build the relationships with them. You know, at the end of the day, it's a business, but I treat it like a family in a sense. Just help people. I'm not trying to screw people over. People see that and they respect you for that.
One of the things I admire about you is your consistency on social media. And it wasn't always that way. I think that through thousands of content pieces, you've developed and refined an incredible system. Can you give some pointers to other entrepreneurs on how to make content consistently?
We do separate like my personal page from the business, and I post my daily stuff on my Instagram, but then the business is more polished, you could say. For me, what I've done is if you do one celebrity, it's just going to be like a domino. You're going to start getting more. They believe in you and they believe in your work. The celebrities are going to fight for you. A few years back, I did Eric Sermon. He loved his treatment. From there, he referred Funkmaster Flex. Flex did a commercial for me. Commodore brought in Clue, and then we got Darren Williams from the NBA. So it was all just a whole referral process. If I gave one of them guys a bad job, I would have never probably got most of them celebrity influencers. So you got to treat each job, it's like your last job out there. I don't sit there looking at the clock. I'm just like, I'm going to take my time and make sure I master that. It's artwork. And another problem, this is another important fact. In all the years of partners that I've had, a lot of the partners, it's like they look at it like it's a machine. You're making money. The vision where the companies was going, it felt more like a production line. It's like I was doing 3-4 clients a day. You get kind of burned out after a while. You could lose that quality if you're doing 3-4 clients a day. I just didn't like the vision of.
You didn't want to become corporate.
No, I didn't want to be corporate, man. The influencers, my clients, they love that I'm not corporate. I'm not trying to like sell them something.
That really shows through not only in your work, but also in your students. I was blessed enough to get certified through your program, and I can wholeheartedly say for any future students that you have, if you get blessed enough to actually train under this guy, you're gonna be good as long as you put in the work. I am 100% comfortable taking on an SMP client years after the program, and I don't have to call Jonathan panicking about what color shade do I use, you eventually learn after you've done, like 5 clients, there's preventative measures that you can take to do a great S&P job. As long as you have great form and there's a little bit of art, there is room for error. Although it's such a detailed thing, once you get the foundation and you understand it, like one day it's just gonna click. This isn't as complex as it feels entering in. Let's talk about your business and expanding to multiple locations. How did you manage that expansion to make sure that the quality didn't go down?
Everyone's gonna make a mistake in business. It's how you learn from that mistake and how you keep going. I'm to the point in my life where it's like I've seen all the mistakes, the $1 million mistakes. I've seen it. I recognize it. The main thing I've noticed with SMP is you can't just overnight this, into 7-8 locations overnight. You have to find that person. If you're going to do SMP and expand, you need some people you really trust. Someone that you could bring into the office for 6 months to a year. Have them shadow you, work with you. Don't treat them like an employee. Treat them like they're part owners. So you almost want to have your employees become versions of you out there. So, give them ownership. You can't turn this into an employee-based business. It's got to be a longevity art. You got to find that right person. We trust the people going in there. That's the main thing.
There is a little bit of, I think, confusion for people getting into S&P when it comes to their expectations for how long it takes to actually build a career as a full-time, successful artists, aspiring S&P artists out there that are struggling. Maybe they got certified, they've had 3 clients, and maybe they just don't have like the business side figured out yet.
I've personally made mistakes of hiring guys that, they come in, they want to learn it, and then they bounce out. You won't see them again. It's like they'll try to open up their other company and then they realize it's not that easy. You still need to have consistency. Putting yourself out there is definitely important. As an artist, I've seen throughout the years is this going to these events. It really helps, like these award shows, mingling in with other artists. I've seen a lot of successful S&P artists just based on being around other S&P artists. There's very few artists that can just do it by themselves and just be solo and pop out there. You have to actually put yourself out there, be online, collaborate with other artists, go to these shows. train with other artists. You know, I've had students do multiple trainings. They'll come to me from getting trained from 2 other companies, and they're like, wow, I get it now. So it's like, keep the doors open, be humble, and like you said, give the reins. Sometimes give it to other people so they can be successful as well.
As you started to scale, part of your mind that's the artist and part of the mind that is, logic and the business guy, how did you keep yourself present? Maybe like check yourself along the way.
I would ask like successful friends that I had. That always kind of like humbled me and kept me like more level headed. I've always maintained like a friendship with all my clients from 13, 14 years ago, and bringing them back through, having them do testimonials help my brand too. It gives more credibility when you have healed results. I always stress to all my students, show the healed result. Give it 1 to 3 months.
Yeah, and I think that that's a better approach to building rapport with your client too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want to like, I know that you're all red right now, but can you smile?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's very important though. I do have to admit, the before video, that's when you capture that moment of them being nervous but kind of excited at the same time. That's a moment where people are attracted to seeing. They want to see the realistic, like the feelings that you have before you get to SMP, and then that feeling of getting it afterwards it's a priceless feeling.
I'm a full-time multimedia producer now, so I study content creation and help other business owners. One of the things that I tell business owners is you got to focus on 3 things when you're making content. How much value is the viewer actually getting out of this piece of content? What is the quality of the content itself? And then how strong is my hook? If you pair those 3 things together, it's pretty hard to put out content that isn't gonna get engagement.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'll see is a lot of people just feel like so overwhelmed by how many different ways you can make content nowadays, and I think that we overcomplicate it.
We do. You can make content about making a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Put it out there. People are gonna see who you are.
If Shaq did that, it would do over 10 million views.
Oh yeah, that's what sells to people, is not just the treatment. It's just they're putting their life in your hands, so they want to know who's the guy actually doing my treatment.
They want to see your personality.
That's the number one thing. I mean, some people you can't train them personality.
You can't train someone to be charismatic. You can't train someone to have grit.
Yeah.
But those 2 things are very important.
Yeah. I don't want to give his name, but there was another SMP artist years ago who I kind of helped get into the business. He just got caught out by a big influencer online. He was trying to sell people all this like, oh, you can get the Lambo next month. And he got caught out for selling fake passports to Colombia. It went viral, yeah. So unfortunately, the guy like finally got popped. Now he's in jail.
You gotta be careful, man, because that stuff comes back. Like,
Yeah.
the moment that someone shows me that I can't trust them, it's really hard for them to regain my trust.
You're right.
What is one lesson that you learned the hard way that you wish every up-and-coming entrepreneur would understand?
Don't think that everyone is going to fight for what you want. You can't assume that everyone's got the same dreams and goals as you have. Always follow what you want to do, and don't let anyone persuade you to think otherwise. It's always good to support other people's dreams, but don't lose focus on what your ultimate goal is going to be.
That's a heavy thought, man, because like we find ourselves in so many positions when we're working with people where we're working together to reach something, but the way that I see it is going to be different from them. You know what I mean? And as you grow with anybody, we find a partner that we're finally like compatible with.
Yeah.
And you ignore all the red flags, and once you guys start making money together, that's when you really start to see not only someone's intentions but their true character. I'm willing to bet that you've become now like a lie detector. Like you can really like see through people pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate in this day and age. You always have to have your senses on high alert for anybody, even family members and friends that you think they're your friends. You always have to be on high alert.
I don't think it's unreasonable to just don't trust anyone except for yourself with your life. You know what I mean? Like,
you're right.
And that's not, like being pessimistic. It's just being real, like human nature, like we're all playing this game of life to win, and we all get a hand of cards, and, we can smile at each other and, cheers, but we all want to win the game. People are making moves, like deciding where they want to put their cards without saying anything. What I learned like in my mid-20s, you have to keep your hand quiet.
Yeah, that's actually another important thing I was going to bring up. In business and anything, if you're in life or business, don't share everything. Keep a lot of stuff to yourself. Don't show your cards. Don't say you're going to do it until it actually happens.
How do you use music to keep yourself mentally sharp and healthy?
Some people go see a psychiatrist. Me, I get a guitar, write some songs. Exciting news that just happened back on the 4th of July, my feature release. My first time having a song that's actually on the radio. I'm actually making money off a song now.
Hey, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta send that to me. I don't think I've heard it yet.
You haven't heard it? No. Anthony Santos. He's a bachata singer. It's actually called This Lovin' by Gerow, Anthony Santos. He did a feature with Bad Bunny. The same time I'm recording with him, he did the music for TT Pregnento with Bad Bunny. It went #1. This guy's like one of the biggest Spanish singers in the market right now.
You know a lot of very successful people.
Oh, yeah.
What would you say are like maybe some of like the commonalities that you see?
They came from nothing like me. They weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. I relate to a lot of these guys because, you know, anybody can make it. You just got to put the work out there. It's not going to come to you. You got to go out there and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. You just can't sit back and hope for a miracle. Step up and just do it. Make your dreams happen.
And most things that come quickly leave quickly, right?
Yeah.
We just had Jonathan Gerow. If you guys could just like and subscribe, please, that helps with the algorithm, helps me get more views, and helps me get the message out to y'all. Appreciate you.